For more on the developments in Yemen, I'm joined now by Kamran Bokhari. He's an author, a South Asian affairs advisor. He works regularly on the geopolitics of the Muslim world. I want to thank you so much for joining us. The headline, of course, ISIL taking credit for this attack. Give us the significance of this, because al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has actually had a foothold in Yemen. What does this mean about the struggle between these two terrorist groups?
Well, if IS is behind today's carnage in Sana'a, then it means that IS has been able to penetrate into the country and actually, created space where al-Qaeda dominates the jihadist landscape. And not only that, it's trying to make use of the chaos in the country between the Houthis and the ousted government of President al-Hadi, and the fighting between al-Hadi's forces and that of his predecessor to advance itself. And this is sort of the signature modus operandi of jihadist groups, that they make use of anarchy or try to sow anarchy. And in the case of Syria and Iraq and now Yemen, also the sectarian conflict that is brewing in the region.
Well, give me a sense of that, too. I mean, there's so many players on the landscape in Yemen. We have an elected leader who had to escape to Aden, who still wants to govern. Then you have the Houthis in place in Sana'a. Give us a sense of what we're looking at here. Give us a sense of just how bad the sectarian divide is in this country and where it can go.
I think that the sectarian divide was not that bad and wouldn't have been that bad had it not for the situation in Syria and Iraq. And that's sort of casting a shadow across the region. I'm referring to the struggle between Iran on one hand and its camp consisting of the Alawite regime in Damascus and its Arab Shia allies. And on the other hand, you have Saudi Arabia and its Sunni Arab allies. And so these two camps are struggling with one another. Now that shadow is being cast over Yemen. And this is when you have a sectarian conflict, one between the Zaydis of Yemen, the Zaydis being a form of Shia Islam, not mainstream Shia Islam, but nonetheless it's seen as the sectarian other by Sunnis. And this is a turf on which jihadists have proven to be, the best players, in the sense that they're able to exploit these rifts and advance themselves.
There's a website, geopoliticalmonitor.com. It's an international intelligence publication and consultancy firm. They wrote a headline in a posting last month, and I wanted to share it with you and get your thoughts on it. It says, Yemen, the world's newest failed state. Do you think that's accurate? Is this a failed state? How bad is the situation there?
That's not new. Yemen has been descending into chaos for many, many years now. It's only that now with the rise of the al-Houthis as the single largest movement in the country, given that it's taken over areas of the north and central Yemen, that people have begun to realize this, and now it's making the headlines and everybody's talking about it. This is something that we at Stratfor have been chronicling for many years, and have been saying that Yemen is headed towards a failed state and a very chaotic country.
Well, we've seen in Somalia a failed state. It was an incubator for al-Shabaab. So how serious a problem is this?
It's a very serious problem. And if you look at it from the point of view of Saudi Arabia, which is the country to the north of Yemen, and has had a disproportionate amount of influence in trying to manage this country over the years, it faces a dilemma. On one hand, it has a pro-Iranian movement called the al-Houthis that it has to deal with, and on the other hand, you have jihadists. So it's sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, and this is not going to get easier as time goes by.
We look at Tunisia, Iraq, Syria, now Yemen, what happened there today. What's your best guess as to what we're likely to see next? I mean, the Tunisia attack yesterday, ISIL taking credit for that. We're seeing so much violence in the region. What's your sense, and what's it going to take to mitigate this?
I think we're looking at a multi-generational process. I mean, this is sort of the new normal that we should come to expect for the region for at least, a generation, if not more. Some places will calm down sooner than others, but this is not about to end anytime soon. In fact, I think that the situation is going to get far more worse before it gets any better.
All right, kind of a grim statistic, but undoubtedly probably pretty accurate. Kamran Bokhari, a Middle East and South Asian expert, joining us. Thank you so much, live from Toronto there.